All right, all right. We are back with Mike Morris for a triple shot Tuesday. Mike coming in with his third game in the evening. If you have not heard, go back to the previous two episodes. Mike Morris is a phys ed teacher in North Carolina, split between two schools, and he's got a Voxcast episode. Go check it out. So let's not bore you anymore and get right to the good stuff. I'm going to share my screen, and then Mike, you could take us through what is this activity?
All right, so this game is called Dice Jam. It's played just like Cam Jam. Each student is a partner, and they're tossing to the partner or the target to get it to land in the bucket. And if they toss it to their partner or close to the target and their partner jams the die in the basket or hits in the basket, they get the amount of points that lands on the dice. We're working on throwing with accuracy to a target or a partner. Dice Jam.
I love this.
So
This
just like
really cool. Obviously, it has almost 8,000 views, which is, a large number there. So people are digging it on there. So I think it's really cool, really interesting game there, and not something that you see a lot of. So why are we teaching this activity? You can either tell me why you were or why the kids came up with it when you asked them, because in the previous episode you had talked about you go over the what, why, how. So why are you teaching a game where you're throwing a dice in a bucket?
because we are working on underhand tossing, which is used in many sports: softball, baseball, football. Underhand. It's a transferable skill.
Yeah, and I
So you
would
need
say,
underhand tossing.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You can continue.
Go ahead. Oh, you also underhand toss transfers to striking, shorthand implement. So you do a lot of underhand toss. Same motion.
Yeah, I would say in life, I mean, I find myself tossing things a lot, all the time. The more things I could toss underhand to somebody, the happier I am. I'll tell you what, it's just a skill that's kind of fun to do. So I enjoy that. I think it is transferable across many sports and activities. So I think you're 100% on the money. So let's talk about equity of this activity. So was there anyone who struggled this scene? You're throwing an underhand throw, third grade.
Yes,
Where's the equity in here?
they did struggle with this at first. Um, I really focused on the technique with third grade. So stepping with opposite foot, we were having a hard time with that, and we were also having a hard time. They will step before, they'll step first and then bring the arm back instead of stepping at the same time. So we worked on that as well. Had to do a lot of redirecting, a lot of letting them know where to let the dice go, because they were rolling the dice instead of tossing it. It was more of a roll because they were releasing it so low. But once they got the hang of it, they did pretty good. It took us a long time though.
And I think you brought up every major issue that every phys ed teacher at the elementary level has. The contralateral, the opposition, the stepping first. I think a Satchel Paige when I think about that, where like he would fool around, he would step, hold the ball, and then follow through in the things.
Yeah.
And that as you're stepping, your arm's coming back and you're releasing. And I think
And
that
then you also have those students who I know when I was teaching this lesson, I had to stop one time because sometimes they just don't do it, and you have to explain like why are we practicing doing it the right way, because it'll make you more accurate. So let's try to do it the right way so that maybe we can score some points in the game.
Yeah, and I think that this is where, we'll skip ahead to your depth of knowledge. When you're going around and you have the kid and you maybe model it the proper way and then the way that the child did it. So the first one you're modeling, it's rolling on the ground. The second one you model it, it goes into the bucket or near the bucket. Hopefully, if you're modeling it, it goes in. It makes you feel good and look good. But then you ask the kid, what was the difference between those two throws? I think that's where us as phys ed teachers can really do well with our questioning technique, because we want to jump in and we want to go, listen, if you extend it here above your belly button, then you're going to get whatever. But if we can get them to kind of identify it, I think that's where that inquiry and that learning and the light bulb can really go off. Did you see any of that in your lesson?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you get the partners to give the feedback to the child there, which brings us to the assessment. How did you run your assessments for this?
Well, we did do some partner. We broke it down. I broke it down because I had to break the game down to get them used to throwing back and forth to a partner. So on the first level, we worked on underhand tossing straight to the bucket. Then we worked on underhand tossing to the partner who had to jam it in the bucket. Then in build 3, that's when we finally added the points, and either you can toss it in the bucket or you can jam it in the bucket.
Yeah, and I feel like with this, I guess we'll skip right ahead to the extension of the activity. Did you mess with the rules at all? How did you extend the activity? How did you make it a little more fun for the kids, or easier or harder, all the those things?
Well, I played with the distance a lot. I had to find the right distance. I had to retake my floor about 3 times. And I played with the distance a lot, especially with 3rd grade. I also tried it cardio way. I didn't like that way too well. It was rather confusing for them. But who knows? Somebody might like it that way, where they had 1 bucket instead of 2. So you would toss to a partner. And that 1 bucket is, so it's pretty much 1 team per bucket, and you just keep up with your team's bucket. But they were getting confused on how to rotate. So.
Yeah, but I like that. I like sneaking the fitness in as well. And again, you have to see what works for your kids. If it becomes too confusing, it defeats the whole purpose. Then there's no movement, there's argument, there's no reason for that. So I like that. I was thinking you were talking about the distance, right? Mm-hmm. You can let the kids decide the distance, right? So you could have your kids who are, are studs who have the hand-eye coordination at or above grade level. Now we go, okay, as long as your group agrees, you can extend the bucket as far as you need to get into that, zone of proximal development. We call it I call it the Goldilocks zone. Stole that from Jorge, where it's challenging enough to be fun, but not so challenging that you get discouraged. And that might look totally different for everybody. It might be 4 feet, 6 feet for certain kids and 20 feet for other kids.
Yeah.
So I like that. And then I was thinking, now, if they made it in the bucket without the partner touching it, I'm thinking kind of like paddle slam and even can jam. Did they get more points for that or no?
That's a good idea. We didn't do that, but that is a good idea. More point, maybe double the points.
Yeah.
You make it without no one touching it.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. So that would super focus them on getting it in instead of having to just float it up in the air and rely on the partner to get it in the bucket for them. I think would be pretty cool. And I think we hit everything up on the questions here. I got to tell you, really original game here. Right? You don't see too much of this. You see your similarities with paddle slam. And maybe in the future, if you used pickleball paddles and do it there, be a little hard with the dice, but you could try and see how that worked.
Yeah, I played with the dice with paddles, trying to do like a paddle dice something, but a dice and a paddle, man, that's
they're going all over. They're going all over the place. You're ducking
everywhere. But I like how maybe if you tossed it, maybe if it hit off the paddle, I might give that a try.
Yeah, something. And again, you never know. Something fooling around. Throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and see what sticks, and ask your kids on there, what do you think? How could you make the game better? I always love doing that. So again, appreciate your time. You must be exhausted. 3 episodes up, 3 episodes down. Anything you want to leave the crowd knowing? Any personal philosophy, any wisdom you want to pass on to the youngins out there?
Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to try.
I like it. And again, Mike's
Give
creating.
it a shot.
Yeah, the fact that you create these games, you put new twists on it, is amazing. And then you're putting it on Twitter for all of us to see. We really appreciate you, sir. So thank you very, very much.
No problem, man. Thank you. Beyond the game.
On the game.